Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to warmly welcome you all to the SHEAR finale event, Common Ground. My name is Fleur Monasso, and I'm a manager at the Red Cross Red Crescent Climate Center and part of the Knowledge Broker team in SHEAR. We are very excited for the agenda today, and especially with all the speakers. And we're hoping to offer you all a very engaging event in which we celebrate the highlights of SHEAR and reflect on the learnings and the future. In the first half of the day, we'll be looking back, and after the lunch, the sessions will be geared towards looking forward. It will be a very packed 4 hours, so the good news is that we have a group of artists on our side. So we have 6 cartoon artists, and as we all know, a picture says more than 1,000 words, so it'll save a lot of time. But on top of that, they will make us think differently about dialogues and discussions. So in short, we have here with us Bethuel Mangena, Betje, Pat Barnes, Felipe Galindo as Fago, Rohan Chakravarti, and Rebecca Rivola. These are the fantastic cartoonists, and they're coming to us through Samantha Vuknier, organizer of Cartoon Collections. They will be presenting their drawings from the deep dive discussions we had yesterday with the SHEAR partners. So we will also end the day with a worth performance from Reggie Gibson, and he will reflect on these 2 days of dialogue in poetry. Reggie Gibson is an award-winning literary performer, and he has lectured and performed widely in the US, in Cuba, and in Europe. So because of the packed agenda today, we have a few logistics. We will be rather strict in timekeeping. And you can find the agenda, as you can see on the SHEAR.live page, through which you also registered. At the bottom of the page of the SHEAR.live section, you will find a timeline. If you click on the circles of the sessions, you can join each session. Some will be Zoom webinars with lesser ability to interact, but there will also be Zoom meetings where full interaction is possible, but also desirable. So do come and find us on the live page here at SHEAR.live/live. And there you will also see the live stream, the chat, the timeline, and an exciting live blog in which you can follow. So I like to make specific notion to the resources board, also here on the website, where we created a Padlet. And there you can upload pictures, article links, profiles, videos, publications, and anything else you wish to share. Please populate this because it's really a nice place to explore. And we hope that it becomes a useful and dynamic resource for you throughout and especially after the event. Lastly, please tweet away today with #CommonGround and SHEAR_program. And before I introduce the 2 speakers of the opening sessions, I would like to show you a very nice visual and text map of what has happened yesterday. So yesterday, the SHEAR consortium members gathered for an initial deep dive on the learnings, and this map is made by Rebecca Rivola. There's a lot on the map. I will not dive into too much details, but the nice thing is it began with the SHEAR origin story. So what were the real reasons why both scientists and humanitarian practitioners really felt they needed more evidence base, more research, more connection between the 2 sections, between the 2 sectors to advance the way we think about resilience and risk reduction. So it highlighted the importance of SHEAR. And through a timeline, we saw all sorts of milestones popping up for all the different projects. And we had an accomplishment rand in the chat, which immediately showed more than 50+ accomplishments throughout the SHEAR project. Then we geared more towards looking at the future. Which questions have emerged at SHEAR that we feel we should be addressing? Which blind spots were there that we feel we should be addressing? And all of that came together at the end of the day, looking forward, what is it that the world needs today? So now I'm very pleased to give the floor to Tim Sumner. He is currently the Climate and Environmental Advisor with the Climate, Energy and Water team in Research and Evidence Director of FCDO and a Senior Responsible Officer for SHEAR on the FCDO side. He has been with DFID and FCDO for over 20 years now in a variety of country, regional and policy roles. And prior to this, he worked in environmental consultancy. Thank you very much, Tim, for joining us. Please take the floor.
No, thanks very much. Actually, Wendy's going to lead off the introduction, if that's okay, and then I'll come in at various points.
Absolutely.
So
Let me introduce
Wendy.
Yes.
That'd be brilliant. Thanks very much.
I'll introduce Wendy Matcham. Thank you for kickstarting this. Head of the Resilience Natural Environment Research Council. Wendy joined NERC in August 2021 as head of Resilience Environment, having previously worked for both the Economic and Social Research Council and the Arts and Humanities Research Council, over 13 years in total. Currently, Wendy is responsible for designing and commissioning research programs that fall within the resilient environment theme. And it covers areas such as water quality and security, as well as understanding and response to natural hazards and resilience to climate change and other changes. Wendy, please take the floor. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Fleur, and hi everyone. So in true kind of collaboration between funders, Tim and I are going to try to seamlessly tag team through this short set of presentation slides. So we'll see how that goes. Right. Okay. Sorry, I'll just see if I can put this in the right view.
If you just click on top display settings, then you can switch the view.
Oh, display settings.
Display settings.
It's not showing for me, but I'll...
There.
Oh, hang on, there it is.
Perfect.
Yes, great. Okay. Okay, so you can see my slide, can't you?
Perfect.
Great.
Yes.
Okay. So first and foremost, I'd like to welcome everyone to this SHEAR finale event and to thank you for taking your time to come and hear about such a fantastic programme of work. And on behalf of NERC and FCDO, I can say that we're extremely proud of the investments that we've made through this joint programme. We're proud of the impact that they're already having and that they are likely to continue to have in the future. The partnerships that have been formed as part of these projects really demonstrate what can be done when you bring different voices together and how those varying views and expertise can produce really innovative research, but more importantly, research that has a clear pathway into practice and policy. And we're very much looking forward to the presentations and the discussions that have been planned for us over the next few hours, and we hope that you really enjoy yourselves. So I will just pass you over to Tim to talk to you about the overall aims of the SHEAR programme.
Welcome everybody, and yes, can I add my my warm welcome to Wendy for participating in this event, and thanks for your time. So just to give a little bit of an explanation about the original SHEAR objectives. In many ways, it's a program that was all about what it says on the tin. So generating and deploying the best science available to support humanitarian emergencies, and in so doing to also help strengthen resilience. The particular thing for us in many ways was to really have a strong user focus and also a level of flexibility to adjust and respond to emergencies in relation to extreme weather events, in relation to evolving climate patterns and other natural hazards such as landslips. So this was all around then through this harnessing of science, enabling us to influence and achieve greater and more effective investment and intervention in development community and government action on disasters around natural hazards. And underpinning that was obviously a need, as there was great recognition, to better understand the underlying risks and to be able to anticipate those hazards that might manifest in disasters. And allied to that, really a recognition to explore better how we could develop high quality data, knowledge and toolkits that could be harnessed to support decision makers as they tackle this very challenging agenda. Next slide, Wendy, if that's okay. So this basically gives you an idea of the setup of SHEAR. It's quite a number of elements, but broadly it's three main parts. So on the left-hand side, you see the element that's SHEAR research, driving a number of research projects through different grant formats, and working closely with NERC in particular, and also with the ESRC, so different parts of the UK Research Council, but strong leadership with NERC in particular. And so that strand was the major research driver, and in particular focusing on understanding risk in a number of different countries, and countries in particular interest to DFID as was then, and FCDO now. It was also about helping enhance the reliability of seasonal forecasts, and then to enable the practical application of those within decision-making processes. Then there was a second strand, which is really what on the schematic here is the middle section, the SHEAR Research, Applied and Innovation projects. That it gave us, this was the part that gave us a bit more agility, if you like, and the opportunity to respond to emerging needs linked to the research projects. But and this actually proved for us to be really quite a useful mechanism that did in the end cater to a variety of events, and in fact we ended up replenishing some funds on that, because that part really proved very necessary and there was a lot of demand. And that element also included a sort of program level dimension of coordination, utilizing a knowledge broker, and we'll hear more about their views on the program, and that also was a very important element to try and help coordinate, develop synergy, and enhance the dissemination and interaction around the SHEAR outputs. And then lastly, on the right-hand side, there's the element of the SHEAR application, which was more data orientated, exploiting different mechanisms to in particular, a challenge fund partnership with the Global Facility for Disaster Risk Reduction with the World Bank to pilot and innovate around tools utilizing open data to support preparedness and resilience. And that really was, as I mentioned, around primarily through a challenge fund mechanism. There were some ancillary parts, but those that happened through a number of competitive rounds and some other broader analytical studies. But I'll sort of wrap up there. You'll hear more during the day. There's also, obviously, I'd really recommend you explore and visit the SHEAR.org.uk website, which really has far more materials. And again, I'm sure the knowledge broker will give you more insight onto that. And over to Wendy now.
Great, thank you. So the part of SHEAR that we're celebrating today is this NERC and FCDO joint funded part of the programme. So this was a really ambitious 5-year programme where we've used multiple approaches to try to address the challenges and the main project programme aims. So as you'll see from the diagram that Tim just showed, we funded 4 large consortium grants. There are 11 smaller catalyst grants, a studentship cohort of 13 PhDs. There's 4 integration projects, a consortium coordination team, and then also a knowledge broker team, which were appointed to kind of bring everything together to maximise not only the cross-programme interaction and the outputs, but also to try to maximise the impact of the projects and programme as a collective. And as Tim said, you'll hear a lot more about that today. And then lastly, I just wanted to go through some of the achievements to date. So you'll undoubtedly hear over the course of the day that the programme and the projects have already made great strides in moving the field forwards. They're already having an impact on saving lives and livelihoods. They're implementing early warning systems and also helping to build resilience with natural hazard systems. So the impacts so far include, but they're in no way limited to the following that I'm going to go through, and I'm sure we will hear many more today. But a production of a landslide daily forecasting bulletin, which was disseminated during the 2021 monsoon season in India. The development of a web platform to visualize hydrological information for non-scientific audiences in Nepal. The development of forecast products that have been incorporated into drought early warning bulletins. The development of flood forecasting tools that have enabled aid to be directed to the worst affected communities before floods hit during Hurricane Iota, and also a web-based hazard assessment and warning tool for glacial lake outburst floods in Nepal. So as I said, there's many more, and I'm really looking forward to hearing about those through the course of the day. So before we say thank you, what next? I think Tim is just going to say a couple of points about what might be next, but also if you stick with us through the day, he'll be appearing on the closing panel and we'll talk a bit more about what might be next.
Okay, we have to be really, really quick because we have to
I will be, Fleur, I promise, I promise.
Okay,
it's just simply to say that, I mean, this is a finale event, but for us, the agenda is a very challenging one. Clearly, not all the problems are solved. We had a rich discussion yesterday around a lot of the outstanding challenges that do exist. And all I wanted to flag was that basically, in terms of our future programming, we have really learned a lot through the SHEAR experience, and that has informed a new umbrella research program that we're going to be taking forward over the next years. It has a dedicated theme on the area that SHEAR was working on, and basically I can say a little bit more about that later on in the day. But yeah, the point was that this has informed, the rich experience of SHEAR has informed our future planning, and we do intend to carry on working in this area. Thanks very much.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Wendy and Tim. This is a very helpful overview to start with, and the setup of the program and some achievements already are very encouraging for people to initiate the day with. Thank you so much. I will now pass the floor to Dorothy, who will give us SHEAR in a glance.
Thank you so much, Fleur. Hi, everyone. Dorothy Heinrich from the Red Cross Red Crescent Climate Center. I'm also part of the Knowledge Broker team with Fleur and many others. Just in 30 seconds / a minute, we just wanted to give you a quick glance of SHEAR in numbers and to tell you to come on our website, join the resource page that's already on the platform, and give you just a little bit of a teaser of SHEAR. So if someone can share the slide, thank you so much. So here we go, very quickly. SHEAR, over 5 years of research and practice, over 90 research practice projects and grants. The reason the number isn't precise is that there are so many sub-projects and student projects, etc. So over 90 projects spanning so many different topics. SHEAR is in over 18 countries around the world, building over 68 global partnerships with academic institutions, governments, research bodies, NGOs, humanitarian organizations. We're very proud of the 58 early career researchers who've gone through our doors, many of whom are actually here today. So if you want, give a wave. In terms of publications and things that you may be seeing, either in academic circles or in practice as well, there are over 103 peer-reviewed published papers. There's a list on the resource page as well. Please do take a look. The topics span such a range of important questions that are being asked by both academics, humanitarians, governments in the whole disaster risk reduction sphere. There's also 30 knowledge products, which we've tried to synthesize the tremendous amount of knowledge and research that's been coming out of SHEAR and counting. We're still making some in the next couple months. And finally, 69 new and innovative tools to be actually used in practice, many of them open source, most of them currently being used as we speak, and still a few to come. So thank you so much. If this is like wet your whistle and excited your curiosity, please do follow us on Twitter and in the resource page that you see on your at the top of your screen. I think it's on the right. And now it is my great pleasure and privilege to introduce to you our keynote speaker for today, Kara Ziahan from the Anticipation Hub. Kara's head of the Anticipation Hub, a very big player now in the disaster risk reduction and anticipatory action world. So very excited to hear from you, Kara. Thank you so much for joining. Over to you.
Thank you, Dorothy, and thank you, Wendy and Tim. Great for this invitation. It is a pleasure to be here today. I'll start with a question that my mother once asked me. Do you want to swim with dolphins for some marine park? It was a question that my mother, obviously unimpressed, asked me when I told her excitedly that I wanted to become a marine biologist. I was 16 at the time. I went back to my room, not even explaining my reason. I wanted to study marine biology because I was an Indonesian kid who lived in an archipelago of more than 16,000 islands. I wanted to study the fascinating animal, plant, and microscopic life of the oceans. I understood that my mother, like many Indonesian parents at the time, or even still now perhaps, thought that the right science should land you a successful career in engineering or medicine. Or if you don't want those two, just go to business and work for the big corporations. So I understood that it was not the right science. I sulked and went straight to business school. I stopped thinking about science. Fast forward to 2004, I was sitting at home with my family, recovering from a very merry Christmas celebration at home. We always eat a lot at home, and the day after you normally watch TV, a lot of TV. That's what we do. And from flipping the channels, I saw the images of a big flood and people screaming and helping and asking God for mercy. It was horrifying, sad, and powerful. I soon learned that the tsunami had struck Aceh, a province in Indonesia. It was the first time ever that I heard the word tsunami. 6 days later, I landed in Aceh, the area that was worst hit by the disaster. It was my first gig working for an international cable news network as an aspiring journalist. So you can see that I didn't become, to my mother's disappointment, a corporate, let's say, person. Soon after, I was captured by the story of 10-year-old Eka, 14-year-old Nana, and 16-year-old Marwadi, two sisters and a brother who spent days looking for their parents through the rubble and the destruction caused by the tsunami. They managed to escape the wave by going up the hill with a motorbike at the urging of their father, who I understood worked for the Maritime Institute and actually knew the signs of a tsunami. Sadly, their father and mother didn't survive. I realized that I wasn't a great journalist. I was too absorbed by the stories I heard. I wanted to do more for the people I met. I wanted to understand exactly why did so many people die. Later, we learned that 200,000 people lost their lives in the Indian Ocean tsunami. I went home from my media assignment and told my family, I want to join the Red Cross. You can imagine the confusion of my friends and the eye rolls of my family saying, what is Kara up to again now? This was the start of a long journey. Unfortunately, from working with the Red Cross, I saw with my own eyes more destruction and suffering caused by other disasters in Indonesia and around Southeast Asia. But fortunately, the experience provided me with the continuous path of learning. So what have I learned about science in strengthening humanitarian assistance and resilience? First, good science is humble. Like my perhaps not so straightforward career journey, we don't always get it right the first time. In 2014, many of you here also began the journey of pioneering the forecast-based action approach to help communities and organizations act ahead of disasters. We keep on learning about what works and what doesn't, what creates the most impacts to people's lives. We critically examine what can go wrong. It is this kind of humility that brings trust from the people and organizations to support the approach that has now reached more than 60 countries and supported by so many partners from the Red Cross Red Crescent movement, UN, governments, NGOs, and of course the academia. Good science builds bridges. For much too long, humanitarians were too comfortable with delivering traditional humanitarian response as we had always done. Scientists and researchers, on the other hand, often fail to transform academic work into something that we find useful, obviously. Our anticipatory action community today is filled with a mixed bag of professions from sociologists, geographers, climate scientists, finance specialists. The science is there, the expertise is there. We learned that the best solutions arrive when we collectively roll our sleeves, forget about our badges, and learn from each other. Good science, especially, centers on people. Through this community, we understand that good science doesn't only breed experts and educators, it breeds translators, people who don't come to the farmers with the jargons of variability or uncertainty, but with the empathy of listening about why their crops failed and what impacts were experienced in the last strong typhoons. In order to help people prepare and build resilience, we need to better understand what drives human behavior. We need to get the right information to the right people in the right ways. So this is how we change minds. This is how we transform systems. In the last 5 years, I've really had the honor and privilege to work with many of you on anticipatory action. So thank you, SHEAR, for nurturing a community that understands the importance to bridge the natural, physical, and the social to enhance humanitarian assistance and build people's resilience. Good science truly builds on a common ground. And thank you for helping me find the right kind of science. Over back to you, Dorothy.
Cara, thank you so much. That was incredible and inspiring and thought-provoking and stories to remember. So thank you for reminding us why this is important, why we do this. And please, everyone, if you are curious, join the Anticipation Hub. It's an incredible place for resources, connections, network, and really somewhere truly rich in experiences and places to things to learn about. So thank you so much, Cara, and we'll see you the rest of the day. Thank you. Everyone, this is now time for a little bit less of looking at your screen and interacting a little bit more. So we'd like to invite you to click at the bottom of your of the timeline that you see on the SHEAR.live platform and come join us at the interactive sessions. You'll need to just click on the link for the cartoon gallery that's coming up. So hopefully that works, and we're going to see you now in this new room with Bettina and the wonderful cartoon artists who've been following us over the last 24 hours with some cartoons and some visuals to provoke thought, provoke discussion, and that hopefully you will